Hello, my name is Jim Falvey. I'm a lawyer from Chicago. I've done a lot of work in the securities, commodities, and financial market space, including trading in markets. And I got into the crypto world back around 2013 and have worked on a number of different projects, founded a couple companies, one based on intellectual property, the other on big data. And I have taught crypto at a local law school in Chicago, and I find it to be a fascinating area. I'm not a computer technical person, that's my son, but I very much enjoy studying the area and following the not only crypto, but perhaps more important, blockchain and the technology that we get from in this world.
My name is Gerardo Herrera, I'm Communication Director at Rismatics, and I have the pleasure to have with us Jim Falvey to talk about FTX.
Yes.
For years now, crypto seemed to be the future. Now many people question if crypto has a future, and that's pretty much because of what happened with FTX.
Correct.
Help us to understand what happened with this company.
There are many steps that led to the downfall of FTX, but at its core, it was the owner and founder, Sam Bankman-Fried, or SBF as he's called, and his partner, Caroline Ellison, and they together did not follow business rules, norms, ethics. They, in my view, violated the law. It's pretty clear that happened, and this was not a crypto crime per se. Crypto was not the catalyst of what happened. What happened here was a fraud. In a fraud, in some respects, similar to Enron, to WorldCom, to Theranos. You can go all the way back to Barings Bank, which was a long-established institution in the UK, and one trader in its Singapore office got behind on some positions, and rather than calling in compliance and dealing with it, he ended up doubling down, so much so that he blew up the bank. And that's not dissimilar from what Sam Bankman-Fried and Caroline Ellison did here. They blew up, they actually acted like a bank. They took customers' money and used customers' money without their permission. They were meant to be a crypto exchange, just like Binance, like Coinbase, where you could go and execute your transactions. Instead of allowing their customers to do that, they took the money and they bought lavish things for themselves, including a $10 million house in the Bahamas where FTX was ultimately headquartered, and cars, airplanes. They flew around the world. They were able to go through a ton of money, which is, it's amazing that they went through that much money. And we don't know exactly if they went through all of the billions that they had, but so far no one has been able to find anything more than a few $100 million. But it was a fraud.
Now, let me ask you this. Fraud, and I am not a lawyer, especially an American lawyer.
Sure.
As far as I understand, fraud under the American legal system, it can be difficult to prove. You have to prove intent. So basically, I don't want to ask about the process, but will they do time? Or is this gonna be one of those cases that for legal technicalities, they had a good time, they stole a lot of money, and eventually they walked
Yeah, and that, unfortunately, what you just described has been the history in the United States over the past few years. And, you know, one of the big scams and frauds that I neglected to mention was 2008 with the banks and the mortgage-backed securities and derivatives associated there too. So, you know, no one has gone to jail from 2008. So a lot of people fairly ask, is Sam Bankman-Fried going to walk? Or will Caroline Ellison serve 6 months and be free? I personally think that Sam is going to do a significant amount of prison time. I certainly could be wrong, but fraud is hard to prove. You are correct, because you have to show intent, and that can be a difficult thing to prove, but not impossible. And Sam is the sort of person who likes to talk nonstop about things. And he has given, in my view, the prosecutor, the U.S. attorney, the Department of Justice, a lot of descriptions of what he did, what he was thinking, and I think ultimately they will be able to go through all that information and use that in some ways against him and to prove what his intent was. So I personally predict he will do time, and if he goes to trial and doesn't cut a deal and loses, under the U.S. we have sentencing guidelines. They consider how many crimes you've committed in the past and how bad is this current crime that we're sitting here for today. I don't know if Sam has anything in his background, I don't think so. But in terms of how bad a crime this is, for fraud and other related crimes, they look at dollar amount involved. And given the dollar amount we're talking about here, he could possibly do the rest of his life in prison.
Okay. Besides himself and his partner, etc., let's talk about the impact on crypto and this crypto rush that we have been living for the last few years. Is this gonna be a problem for crypto in the future? Is this gonna be the trigger of a crypto winter?
Yeah, I think we've been in a bit of a winter even before Sam and FTX came around. I think in the U.S. it will be difficult to get much activity on the crypto front, given the current administration and in particular the head of the SEC, who is, in my view and in many others, trying to get rid of crypto, to put the genie back in the bottle. And I think he's going to be very aggressive about that. Both parties have a hard time supporting crypto right now for a couple of reasons. One, it looks bad to their constituents, and two, a lot of these people received money from FTX, campaign contributions. So that is making crypto in the U.S. a very, it's going to keep the winter going, in my view, for some time. Now, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, but then is this going to help crypto industry in the long run? This reassessment of priorities, is it going to be something positive in the long run, or is it going to be the beginning of the end?
Yeah, I don't think it's the beginning of the end. I think we're too far down the road. And I to your point, implied in the first part of your question, I fully embrace and agree with, that is, we need to get all this junk and all the fraudsters out of crypto to make it a very respected asset class, which it was on its way to becoming, but then FTX and Sam set it back. And we'll see how many years they did. But again, the SEC the CFTC and other regulators are on the lookout for frauds. And I think it will be ultimately a good thing that we're able to extract those bad actors.
Finally, can we expect much more regulation, strict regulation on crypto?
In the U.S., I think so. It's sad to me because when you look back at the beginning of crypto in 2008 and predating crypto, there was this very utopian group of individuals. Hal Feeney comes to mind, Charlie Shrem, and of course Satoshi Nakamoto, who were thinking in terms of the world having, it's like the John Lennon song, Imagine. No countries, we don't need governments to run financial systems, and in particular they have issues with the Fed. I don't necessarily agree with all of their beliefs, but I can appreciate why they were inventing this alternative money that could be online, that if the economy doesn't go well, that you pump in a bunch of money and create inflation. So they really were dreamers. And unfortunately, people like Sam blew that up. And so while it was probably not a realistic thought that we would be able to get to the level of what Satoshi Nakamoto wanted with our own currency, or an independent currency, I should say, not from the government. It does need regulation. I think Sam has proven, and others, that crypto needs at least some regulator at the top. And there are some efforts to, there's many different levels of regulation. Financial industry is typically done self-regulation. And I believe that there are some very good entities that are trying to pull that together. One is out of Chicago. It's called the Global DCA, and they have a number of members who have joined. And while they're not to the level of being a heavy regulator or doing audits or things like that, they are an example of something that can be a success. And again, regulate the industry in a way so that people, so that retail customers and even hedge funds, etc., can feel comfortable trading in this industry and investing in it without the fear of a terrible fraud like FTX.
Okay, well, Mr. Falvey, looks like we have a lot of things to talk about in the next few months, probably years, and see where this saga ends.
Yes.
And how it will have long-term effects on the crypto industry.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate being here.